Hi, I'm Jeff. This is my 2017 Grand Sport with an LT4 supercharged motor in it, and you're watching ANSWRD. Well, I've been a car guy my whole life, and when I got close to 50, I decided I could afford to buy something that I didn't have to have. Porsche, favorite car in the world. I know I'm standing in front of a Corvette, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I bought a Porsche 911 convertible. It was an 06, and I loved it. And then a friend of mine told me that amateurs that have no experience can drive on a racetrack. And I thought, well, that sounds crazy, but let's give it a shot. So I did it, and that was it. I was hooked. And as I progressed, I thought, well, I probably should get a roof over my head. And I bought a 2015 Stingray after tons of looking into new cars. I wanted a new car with a warranty because I wasn't gonna, do anything to it. That lasted about a minute. I kept going back to the Stingray. Budget, at the time, the Grand Sport wasn't out. I believe the Z06 was, but it was out of my budget. And I didn't know at that time that I didn't really want supercharged for the track. But at any rate, I was looking at all the German cars, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, and they were at the top of my limit. I was worried about maintenance, so I got the 15 Stingray. Had problems with the automatic, got rid of that, bought the manual Grand Sport, and oh my God, what a track car. It is unbelievable. And they say, it's a lot of car for the money, and I sort of disagree. I think it's a lot of car, period, because the money has to triple. VIR racetrack, I think it's Motor Trend, they put a bunch of cars on that track every year. And in 2017, when I bought this car, their driver did that lap in 2 minute 47.1 seconds. A GT3 RS, which is a PDK, and roughly $250,000, 1/10 of a second faster. That was it. Now, I'll take that GT3 all day, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty impressive for what a Grand Sport can do, considering you still have a Z06, you have a ZR1 above that. At the time you didn't have the ZR1. But at any rate, this car, after 3 years of tracking it, and I gotta say, I abused it a little bit, I blew the motor up and couldn't get a motor. All the motors were on back order, and I didn't know that was gonna last as long as it did. It's still going on. And a friend of mine had this LT4 Callaway motor with Lingerfelter head and cam. It's straight piped, it's pretty amazing. He had low miles on it, and he gave it to me just for less than a stock motor would have cost. As well as the LG supercoolers, that's what the grills are all about. With the Callaway, it has the cutout on the hood. So all that was with it. It was just a fraction of retail. And then a friend of mine that works at a dealer and is a mechanic put it in at a really good deal. And the car, well, the numbers are not what you're gonna expect, but the true numbers are 615 to the wheels. But that's roughly what a ZR1 is. I just got back yesterday from the tuner, so I don't have a lot of drive time on it. To me, it's very fast. Of course, this is the most horsepower I ever have. There's probably people out there going, oh, it's nothing, I got 1,000 horsepower. But for me, it's way more than you could ever need on the street, and I'm not gonna track it anymore. I have an actual track car for that, a Z06, so a C6 Z06, so NA, LS7. I think it's a perfect combination. I'd have to say it's probably the manual transmission. I would prefer it was a 6-speed over a 7-speed, but I really like the engagement, and the exhaust note is pretty amazing as well. Well, it's funny because my least favorite thing is also my favorite thing, because the least favorite is the negative attention you get, or at least it feels negative to me, because I'm an older guy and they think, oh, midlife crisis, no crisis, the plate, you're just trying to be seen, and it makes me feel uncomfortable when I know people are looking. But on the other side, like when a little kid sees the car and his eyes light up, I can't tell you, the mom or the dad brings them over and they want to sit in it. And I think that's really cool, because that's how I was when I was a little kid. I was like, oh, look at that car. And if someone let me engage with it, I was just so excited. And I think that's probably why I've just loved cars my whole life, All right, so on the body, there's little minor things. The bumper, that's for the LG supercoolers. Callaway does this for the hood, let the supercharger stick out. Little minor things, like instead of the plastic, that's the carbon fiber. And then these little splash guards kind of keep the rocks from flinging. The wrap, obviously. Other than that, there's a roll bar in there when I used to track it, 4-point harnesses, and then of course, what everyone wants to know, what's the power plant? So this is out of a Z06. It is the Callaway package, which they say is 757 horsepower to the crank. It also has Lingenfelter head and cam, as well as American Racing headers decatted. It's stock internal components. It's on 91 octane. Other than that, I think it's stock. I painted the underside of the hood black just because I wanted it to look nice. The car's white, and I thought that blended better. Other than that, I really haven't done much. The suspension stock, it has a DSC controller in it, or it's getting reprogrammed right now, so it's a stock controller. Oh, the brakes. I took the carbon ceramic rotors off, and I know everyone's gonna think that's crazy. I put gyro discs on because when I track the car, they are just as effective and they are a fraction of the price. I know people say there's the rotating mass, but it's not like I'm an elite driver. I mean, I think only the best drivers in the world are going to notice that. I'm certainly not. I'm not that guy. But then the other wheel package actually compensates for that because I run BC Forge and CCW 18-inch wheels, and the weight difference is almost exactly the same. So it puts it right back to the original weight, which I believe is 3,480 pounds. I could be a little bit off on that, might have been the automatic or whatever. At any rate, that's really it. It's a little bit lower than a stock car, but not much. And then it's just, you know, kind of got a calibrated suspension on it. That's not too aggressive. It's not track only. I want to drive it on the street, and I don't track it anymore anyway. But that's this car, and she looks good too. The wrap is Isotech Army Green. It was done by Cali Wraps. I really liked what they did. They did a really clean job. It's a super gloss, they call it, and I think they said you could actually polish it like you would paint. I'm not going to need to do that because they also ceramic coated it. But at any rate, that's the wrap on it.